Criminal psychologist Bill Chrushank is a loving father and husband whose work puts him face to face with vicious killers in prison. Living the dream. However, this isn't just another feel-good family film, as a terrible accident changes Chrushank's life for the worse. Losing a limb in the wreck, a new one is transplanted, but Chrushank soon discovers the donor not only wants his own flesh back, but is willing to kill for every missing piece. In Body Parts. Body Parts is an adaptation of a book known as Choice Cuts, written by two French writers who collaborated under the pen name Boileau-Narcejac. They also wrote the source material for Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo. Directed by Eric Red, writer of the 1986 action shocker The Hitcher, Body Parts stars Jeff Fahey as Bill Chrushank and Kim Delaney as the MILF, Karen.
What'd you do that for?
On his way to teach psychology classes, Bill is thrown through his car windshield during an accident on the freeway. At the hospital, Dr. Agatha Webb informs Bill's wife that he survived the accident, but one of his arms has to be amputated. However, thanks to the wonders of modern medicine, Dr. Webb can give him someone else's arm. Pressured into immediately agreeing to the arm transplant without any disclosure as to who the new arm's donor is, Karen signs a consent form. No arm? No worries. Those armed guards keeping watch as your donor's head is sawed off should help make you feel a lot better about the whole thing. Bill's physical rehabilitation goes well, his kids come to accept the new arm, and his wife loves the way it gives her a hand too. Returning to his life isn't so seamless for Bill, though. He begins to have violent visions, and the arm has a mind of its own sometimes.
Oh! Ah, shit! Son of a bitch!
Bill uncovers the identity of the arm's donor and its vicious killer, Charlie Fletcher, and he seeks out anyone else who may have had a transplant from the man who was executed. One of the other recipients, Remo Lacey, is played by Brad Dourif, who at the time had already gained notoriety as the voice of Chucky.
You mean I have to live out the rest of my life in this body?
Remo Lacey is a painter, and Bill notices the resemblance between Remo's latest paintings and the horrific flashbacks that have plagued Bill since the transplant. The disturbing flashbacks Bill attributes to Charlie Fletcher continue, and his inability to control the violent behavior of his arm force him to separate from his family, while Dr. Webb remains extremely unsympathetic.
Don't you realize that if a gun were put to my head, I wouldn't jeopardize the accomplishment that your surgery represents?
Another recipient is Mark Draper, played by Peter Murnick. Bill reviews the identity of the donor to Draper as well, but like Lacey, he tries to remain more optimistic. Unfortunately, his optimism loses its legs as we find out someone is coming for those transplanted body parts. While investigating with Detective Sawchuck, played by Zakes Mokai, Bill seems to have his suspicions confirmed that Charlie wants his shit back. Body Parts isn't a groundbreaking visionary film, but I've always liked it. It's like an old EC comic or an episode from a horror anthology. There's a simple premise with a disturbing twist that if you like this kind of horror comic story or just love horror movies, it makes for a pretty good show. The first thing you notice about Body Parts is this intense film score by Dutch composer Loek Dicker. This music really helps set the mood throughout the film, and Eric Red does a remarkable job spotting moments that have cues and moments that don't. The car accident, for instance, isn't pumped up with 1,000 angles of vehicular carnage, explosions, and throbbing music. You don't know how severe it is until the hospital, where the visuals and music give the first real hints that something pretty horrific is going to happen. Another great thing about this movie is that the cast are pretty good, especially Jeff Fahey. Fahey really looks stressed out as the aftermath of the transplant takes its toll on him, and he's able to be not only the likable Bill Chrushank, but the fucking pissed off Bill Chrushank.
Can't you see this arm is killing me?
Body Parts is a good little horror film for a rainy night settled in. I'm not sure it's for anybody, but someone who doesn't watch horror films still might get a kick out of this tale of an understated family man who becomes hunted down by the deadly donor of his transplanted arm. I've always liked this movie, so it's hard to try and rate it for other viewers in general. I think I could give it about 3.5 body parts out of 5 to be safe. Maybe for you, Charlie Flesher comes back and takes away one of those body parts, or maybe you and Dr. Webb will give it an extra one. Who knows? Maybe you can get a little something extra from Charlie Fletcher.
Yeah. Well, that's what my wife says.